Have you ever heard the phrase that experience is wealth? Let's look into that. This is Journey to Wealth with your host, Temi, and I'm here with Faith Praiz. Thank you for joining me today to discuss more than 100 truths you need to know about wealth, which is the book that he has written. Information is in the description, and you can also check out our website that includes other key insights on this book, and also the audiobook is there as well. Now, today we're going to be talking about experiences of life. This is the 8th ingredient of wealth. If you haven't seen 1 through 7, please go and check it out. The links are down below to watch those episodes. Now, experiences of life. I'd like for this episode to just be a storytelling time, just for us to glean from your knowledge of, or your wealth of experience that you've gained over the years. And I'd like to start with one of the quotes that is in this book, because I believe it ties to some of the experiences that you've had. It says here, "There is a mentality in man that doesn't want us to act with excuses like, I don't know enough, I don't have enough, etc., thereby making us lose vital experiences that we would have gained in either good or bad situations." Now, in your workshop, you've mentioned about singing your first record. I want to know how that might tie into this.
Yeah, that's a very, very long story, but I'll try to be brief. There was a particular time, and as I said several times here, that wealth is creating value for others.
Yes.
And with what God has taught me over the years, I always make everybody around me valuable. I want everybody to succeed.
Yeah.
So I put together, some songs in order to teach the people. In those days, I used to go to different churches to teach them the difference between praise, worship, the meaning of song, and the use of songs in our praise and worship meetings. So in order to further the teaching, I put some things together. So I wasn't going to sing it.
Okay.
I didn't see myself as a singer. I was not trained a singer. So I called one of our praise leader in the church. And I said, I have all these songs put together. Will you like to sing them while I sponsor you?
Yeah.
So we went to the studio. Now, I don't have money at that time to sponsor anybody. It's a good excuse for me not to do what I'm planning to do. And we got to the studio, and this particular sister started shivering.
Oh.
I remember I don't have money. So this studio session cannot be wasted. Even in that particular studio, it's not like now that everybody has studio in their laptop.
Yes.
You have to go to physical studio, and if you miss the opportunity of that session, maybe 6 months time.
Whoa.
So I took the book from her, and I stood behind the microphone, and that's how I sang the whole song. And I learned so much from that. And that's why you have Faith Praiz right now all over the place. So, but as if that is not enough, I put together the English one. I have to write some in between. And then I asked another sister to come and sing. And then Gordon said, no, she doesn't like singing this kind of song. That's what he told me.
Okay.
And I sang it. And today you have. So what experience does that leave me? God has his ways, we have our way.
Of course.
Just like the heavens is far from the earth, so the ways of the Lord. So I learned so much through that experience. And since then I've learned to perfectly wait on God. Not only about what he wants to do, but how he wants to do it. With who he wants to do it. At what time did he want to do it?
Yeah.
I learned all that through that experience.
That is a beautiful story. And one of the things that I'm noticing as well is the fact that you can remember the story to details.
Oh, I can't forget it.
Of course.
That's my life.
Yes.
How did I learn about sales? I took that particular song and I went to a record store and I said, we produce some tapes. Can you sell? And then we'll come back, sales on return. That's what we call it at that time. And I said, no, that the package, that the songs are not well packaged. And that it can't compete with what is available in the market.
Okay.
So I thanked him. So I went on the street myself. So I bought a sharp player tape, and the rest is story. The rest is story. And we started to make this money. This thing began to go like wildfire, and till today it's still selling. But as I will walk with God, He never told me release this, don't release this. Remember, I did not release that because I want to be a popular musician.
Yeah.
I was just following God, and so if He didn't tell me do this, I won't do that. So that's how I learned about sales, and we were able to sell by ourselves more than 30 million all over the world. Because we started right from that local place, and then we moved to the next city. Before you know it, we rounded Nigeria, and then we moved to West Africa, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Could you tell us specifically what you learned in sales as a result of that experience?
I find out that sales is not forcing people to buy or get what they don't want.
Yeah.
Sales is meeting people's need. And you meet people's need. You know, little did I know when I was doing that people are hungry for songs they can use in their different homes. And they get into the presence of God. And there's no such song. You know, but this one is about 1 hour of spiritual songs and songs that can take you in a journey until, you know, you can begin to worship spontaneously. You are in the kitchen, you are in the bedroom. It helps you. So it's I can't describe that. Until today, I've been able to mentor a lot of people, and the reward and the results so fantastic.
Yes, that brings me to my next question, actually, because it is mentioned in this section as well that mentors are trusted because of the depth of their experience and the wisdom that they have gained, because their experience is highly valuable. Now, I understand that you mentor a few people, as you've just mentioned now, and in different areas of life like business, marriage, and so on. Could you tell a bit on that?
Talking about mentor, because actually I have experience and encounter with God in several ways. Let me talk a little bit about health.
Okay.
I remember when I newly married and my wife got sick, and at that time, I was married in one single room, and my wife was down with pregnancy, so we had to rush her down to hospital, and a series of things happened. I remember when she was to be dialyzed, we were supposed to be paying how much? 2,000 per day. I remember I was living in one room, and we pay 50 naira.
Okay.
Every month. Now, how do you produce 2,000 naira per day to dialyze for months? So that was my first encounter of God to be my provider. And since then, that experience has not been shifted. Everything I don't do them because I have money or I don't have money. I do them because God says you do them, and it's always coming through to provide for me. So I have that experience about health.
Now, I'm noticing how it's connecting to that first ingredient of wealth. If you haven't seen that, please check it out. Link is in the description. Being able to track God and also knowing your God. Because as you're retelling these experiences, you're noting the nature of God that was revealed to you, which is now giving you the confidence to do certain things because you know who your God is, as well as mentor others into that as well. Now, one of the points in the action points on how to gain experience is to act, and learn, which I'm sure you've experienced that on various occasions. And I've noticed as we've been discussing that you mention a lot of scriptures and it's just flowing like water. Now, what church do you attend?
Well, I coordinate some groups of people, and this started not because I see myself as a pastor. God said to me in 1993, April precise, He said, as you raise a people of praise. And so my interpretation to that is to go to churches and begin to teach them.
Yeah.
Which I did obediently. Yeah, so it came to a point, even churches started asking us for help. So some church want to have a program, then I carry some of the students and people I was teaching and training at that time to follow me. And there comes a time, and it's like Faith is going to take our members away. So most of the people I was teaching and mentor and stop coming to those classes and school as of that time. So God said, why don't you raise your people? And so that's how I went on the street. And the first set of people you can imagine. And some are, I don't want to mention what they do at that time, but
that's okay.
And until they were 12. And I was teaching them, still going to churches to teach. So I have about 10, we were going about, go to different places, teach people, raise, until we were 12. God spoke to my heart. These are 12. And just like Christ. Why don't you start something and begin to share your experience, your encounter with God? And that was the beginning of the church. And then we don't do crusade, we don't do evangelism, but as people's lives begin to change, so this bring this bring this, and that's how we have the church today, called Divine Resource Center.
I'd now like to go into Breeding Arena College, because you mentioned this in one of our podcasts, and I think it'd be good to share a bit on that.
It's very important in the sense that the Breeding Arena students are part of the people that sparked the writing of this book.
Wow.
Because I teach them financial education.
Okay.
And in order to explain further, there are no books that are talking about financial education for children to learn. So that's part of why you see, we wrote it in a very simple manner that they can understand. Actually, this is not the first version of it. The first version talked about the 100 truths straight, because we have those children in mind. This and this is what you should do. This is what wealth is. This is this. Don't fall into the snare of looking for riches and that, before we now try to explain what wealth means in this very special edition.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing your experience and all the insights that you've gained from that as well. I think it's very important for those of you that are listening to note that you should track your experiences. Every single experience, whether it's good or bad, is something that you need to note down and learn from it. Yes, you can remember the bad experience or remember the good experience, but what did you learn from it, and what can you take from it that you can hold on to for the rest of the journey of your life. I've heard before in your Journey to Wealth workshop that it started with one person, which most people don't have the confidence to do. So I'd like for you to share that story.
Yeah, just like the way my God is always relating with me. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of people, because of fear of failing, don't do what they are supposed to do.
Yeah.
Or because of what I have or what I don't have. All right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would have been one of them because God had told me to start school for a long time. And I asked, who will believe my story? Mm-hmm. I'm not an educationist. Mm-hmm. All right? I have not been to school. Though I know that God, in relating with me, is just learn on the go.
Yeah.
You know? So I drag until my last born is about to enter secondary school. Mm-hmm. And then I said to myself, there's no school this guy can go. I don't want him to be indoctrinated.
Yeah, that's
there are
it.
So much things that the enemy has put and packaged in the school. Mm-hmm. And when you are pursuing the certificates, your psyche is arrested. I don't want that to happen to my son. So that's how we started the school with my last born. So for the first 1 year, I was the only student. So second year, because I didn't announce it in the church.
Okay.
Just the way I always will approve. If it's God, let him come through, let him come forth, let him manifest himself. I didn't announce it until second year. I had some people had problems, challenges in, paying the school fees of their children and all that. So I asked them to bring their children to my school, and it's like, you have school? So 6 people were added to my son, and they were 7. And the school is just about 3 years now.
Wow.
And then we are about 50. So, and it's doing well. They've had their Cambridge exam. Yeah. And it's fantastic.
That's wonderful to
hear. They have 100% in English language and other beautiful things happening in the school.
Wow.
Because God says so.
Yes.
I'm experienced. I can tell you how to start a thing from the scratch and then to bring it to this point. Yeah.
Yes. So taking a step of faith and not allowing the voices of other people to get into your head and say, you can't do this or it's not possible. But believing what God has told you is what has allowed the school to become where it is today. Information on Breen Arena College is in the description below, linked to the website as well as their Instagram, so you can check that out.
Now people call experience wealth. It's a wealth of experience.
Yeah.
If you start to take steps, you move. Despite your limitations.
Yeah.
What you have, what you don't have. You know, what you gain and what you learn cannot be taught in school.
Yes.
And that can be transferred. That is a wealth that's value.
Yes, very valuable.
That you can always transfer to the next generation.
Yes.
And that's what I believe part of what we're trying to do or achieve through this book. More than 100 truths you need to know about wealth.
Yes. And I think that last thing you said there, transferring the value to the next generation. That's very important. Don't keep it to yourself. Don't keep the experience and knowledge that you've gained to yourself, but rather sharing it with others, that not just your own children or your grandchildren, but those that are all around you, your environment. Yes, thank you so much for being here with me as always. You're taking time out of your busy schedule with all the responsibilities that you have, yet you set time for me. I'm very grateful for that and very appreciative.
I'm always happy to be here.
That's great to hear. And thank you to you all for listening. You have come this far. We've made it to the 8th ingredient of wealth. Thank you for always listening in. And I hope you're all learning. I hope you're gaining all these key nuggets. We've just discussed the experiences of life as the 8th ingredient of wealth. Again, if you haven't seen those previous ingredients, as well as why the book, make sure to check that out. Link is in the description. Always follow, like, subscribe, comment down below any questions you may have so that we can answer those as well. Thank you for always tuning in to Journey to Wealth with your host, Temi. If you enjoyed this episode, don't stop here. Check out these 2 videos for more insights. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you never miss an episode.